in our new video, the video number 3. But before going for the detail, or before going in detail, let me talk about the comment which we actually got yesterday. The comment was like this: if we have any video under the title, then they find a different video, or they find a different quality of the context or the content. Now, we actually, a couple of days back, we put a video under the name of the introduction of the grammar. Now, that was very hard for us to talk in detail about the grammar, the morphology, or the inflections, or some of the descriptions that are being used in, grammar. Because we keep something, we bear some very minor things in our minds. That the first thing that is like, we can go for the higher HD videos. The video, for example, that there's of the very good quality, or the higher HD quality, maybe 1080. Now we can go for that because we keep the complexities or the complications of the internet here in mind. Like that you also as a viewer you can download our video which is of the high quality, because the 2G internet is very it's of a very low speed. Now, the thing was, before moving a little forward, I'll suggest to you, like, please remember this point here in your minds, that we are planning this lecture series for the 10th as well as the 12th class students, because their exam pattern, or bearing their exam pattern, then the descriptions or the terminology in mind, we actually make our video for those. Now, the thing is, right now I'll be recapitulating the whole sum which we actually discussed till now. The thing was, the first thing which we discussed in the first video was tense. What does tense mean, or where from it actually gets it or owes its birth. Now, I did say you in the very first lecture that the tense owes its birth from the Latin word tempus, or Anglo-French word, the tempus, T-E-M-P-S, and there's a Latin word, T-E-M-P-U-S, and the V3 of that Latin word, the tempendo. All those words signify a simple meaning, that's of time. Like, they denote the time. The tempus means time. But when we talk about the tense, when we talk about the meaning of the tense, or when we go through the definition of the word tense, it shows two things. The first thing, that it shows time. Another thing, it shows the sense of work. For example, you have performed any action, in which sense, or at what time you did that, or you did perform that action. So after that, I did talk about the topic, or I did talk about the word time. What does time mean? If we talk about the word time, now, what does this mean? I did say this time means, or it's an imaginary line. When we talk about the word imaginary line एक line होती है जो हम like देख नहीं सकते. For example, if we talk about this marker, like you could see it, it's a tangible thing. Like you could write, or for example, you could write with it, or you could you could actually go through the descriptions. For example, there's a barcode. There's some of the descriptions about this marker. Now, it's a tangible thing. You could see it. But when we talk about the imaginary line, जब हम imaginary line का तस्वुर करते हैं अपने दिमाग में, that's the thing. Like we can't see it vividly. We can't like make it a tangible. It's not a tangible. You could maybe imagine it. For example, if I say you, आसमान से तारा टूट के ज़मीन पे आ गया. Like in your mind, there comes a star, and you could visualize it. So that's an imaginary line. So when we talk about this imaginary line, if I say somebody has got birth in 1990, Mr. A is a person, he got birth in 1990. The line of his life got started from 1990, or it get started from 1990. Now, at this point, when we talk about this imaginary line, here is an imaginary or ever-moving point. The point that is never, or that's not in rest, that's not stagnant. When we talk about that point, for example, कोई बंदा पिछले साल 9th class में था, तो it was 2019. It was 2000. The point of his life was in 2019. Then after that, 300 or 365 days passed, and this point comes to 2K20 or 2020. Now, here, this guy is in 10th class. When we talk about this ever-moving point, where this point lies, or where this point rests at a particular time, we call that a present. So, यहाँ पे क्या कर सकते हैं हम? इस imaginary line पे एक point है जो अभी 2020 पे है, तो यहाँ पे 2020 है इस बंदे के लिए, वहाँ पे उसका present कहलाता है. Now, it's a present over here. Now, we have the covered distance. This point covered is distance from 19 or since 1990, and we call that the covered distance is always being referred as a past, or you could pronounce it as a past. It's not a pronunciation class over here, so please don't dive deeper into the pronunciation. Now, it's a past and a present. Now, the current distance, the distance that is being or that will be covered by this point is called future. जब हम लिखने की कोशिश करें यहाँ पे, तो it's a future. So right here is a future. तो टाइम की डेफिनेशन के हिसाब से we get three things. The first thing is like it's an imaginary line in which there is an ever moving point where the point rests is called present, or where the point lies is called present, and the covered distance is called past, and the upcoming distance will be future. Now, after we talk about the subject, we talk about the verb. So let me conclude it in a very sum here. That's a subject is like the doer of an action or the person. About whenever a sentence or whenever a part of the sentence talks about somebody, that body is being referred as a subject. So we got the kinds or we got the types of it. The first type was on the basis of presence. Another type was on the basis of the number of persons. So when we talk about the number of persons, it's only two, the singular as well as the plural. Then we talk about the presence, it's a first person. I'm talking about me, so it's a first person. I'm talking about the Bill Gates, he's the third person. But with whom I'm talking is the second person. So first person, second person, third person. The first person is the speaker, the second person the listener, and about who we are talking about, or we are talking his third person. So right now I'm talking about the Bill Gates or the Melinda Gates is a third person. So you're aware about the definition. Then we talk about, like, we get the four things. The four things are present. I just say you the four things are present are, the first one was we get the bifurcation or we get the divisions. The first one was present simple, then it was present simple, we call it also as a present or indefinite. Then it was present continuous or the progressive. Then it was the present perfect. Then it was present perfect continuous. So these are the four things which are required for this.